everyone, it's Vicky here today and I am designing for Bramble Fox. I'm using a perspective from the August Fox box and I'm using a new stamp and die set for September. So a stamp set and a die set, they don't go together. So this is the stamps. There's lots of bits and pieces on there which are great for everyday stamping, and I wanted to use the ampersand. I picked out a couple of, well, three Distress Oxide colours, and I want to do a stamping technique which I saw Missy Whidden do a few times, and I really like the effect that it gives. So the paper that I'm using is watercolour paper. You could get the same effect with white cardstock covered in clear gesso or white gesso. But what I do is I stamp with Distress Oxides onto the paper, and then I use my brush and I wet what I've stamped, and then I just clear it off with my towel. So what it does is it smudges the edge of what I've stamped, but it still leaves the original stamped image. You can still see it underneath. So I don't know if you can see that clearly. When I wiped it off with the paper towel, you could probably see that the ampersands are all still there, but it's all smudged around it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm stamping all of those ampersands on, and I'm using colours to match Pink Fresh Studios' Let's Stay Home collection, because that's what I'm going to use on here as well. I don't use much of that, but I just wanted to match in with the kids. So now I'm doing yellow. So I started off with the orange, which was marmalade, I think, and this yellow is called mustard seed. And I'm just going to stamp a whole load of those, and then do the exact same thing as I did with the orange. So yeah, splash a bit with my brush and then just sort of paint over it. And I'm not very precise because I can see that the ampersands are still going to be there. I don't need to worry about smudging them. As long as I just wipe the excess water off straight away, and those stay, that the original images stay there. So I'm just adding some more on to the orange so you can see, so it's a bit wider at the top, and smudging it off. And then my third colour is called Peacock Feathers, and that's a nice aqua blue. So I'm getting faster at it as I go down the page. So bringing the page down to a point from top to bottom. So that's why it's getting narrower there. That's it. So that's all of those. And at the moment it's very orange, yellow, blue, but in a bit I'll do something to make it more cohesive. So mix the blue and the yellow in together a bit. So there's a small strip of green across there, but it didn't go particularly green. So I'm just smudging down the blue as I did before. There we go, paper towel again. You can see there's not really any green there, but I did try to smudge the two together. So what I do next is pull out some packaging, and I just use the packaging effect on the edges there, down the sides, just to make it a little less perfect shaped, if you sort of mean. So I wanted it to look more random and smudged at the edges, So now I'm going to do some splatters with the blue and with the orange. I don't do the yellow splatters because they're quite light and I don't think they'll show very well on here. So that's my splatters. I do dry this a little bit with my heat tool just so that I can get moving. What I didn't want to do was run my paper towel over before I dried a little, because all of the splatters that I did would have just disappeared onto the towel. So if you dry a bit first, it keeps them on there. So none of this would be possible if you did it straight onto plain white cardstock, because the once you'd stamped, it would stay there and it wouldn't smudge properly. And if you did try to smudge it, you would probably wick the paper and it would just make a big mess. So watercolour paper or gesso is your friend in this circumstance. So here's the perspective, the Right Now perspective in black, which is fab, from the August Fox box, and I'm going to use that alongside my photo. It's just a Snapchat selfie of myself, and I'm going to just put that on there. So I just thought, right now, let's take a quick selfie right now, and that will work. So these are the dies. They're super cute. We had perspectives of this circle one earlier, I think, this year, and it's now a die, and I absolutely love it. It's really cool. It's sort of circles with numbers in. So I'm going to cut this twice on this paper, which has got a very slim diagonal black line on it. So I'm just going to cut that twice with my big shot, and you'll see how that looks in a second. I left the pieces on there, I can get those off later. These dies cut really well. Any little pieces that are on them just pop straight out, no trouble at all. So yeah, they're really good quality. So I'm going to pop these dies onto the page. I play around a little bit, but I want to basically put them straight across, yeah, where you see them now, and then my photo and the perspective will go there. So I look at them and think that maybe they don't stand out so much at the edges, so I do add a little bit with my finger, a little bit of blue ink onto the edges that will show from underneath my photo. So just to give them that extra bit of visibility. Okay. So these stamps say all the days of the week, Monday through Sunday, but I wanted to stamp them individually, so I cut that piece out so that I can stamp them all individually, and I'm just going to stamp them over the page around where the photo will be. So all the days of the week, you know, just to sort of indicate that every day of the week I'm here pretty much. I work from home anyway, so I would have been home during lockdown, but you know, we were home during the weekends as well. So it's just sort of showing that, you know, every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, pretty much the same. So so yeah, so just stamp each day of the week twice, and then start to assemble again, just to make sure that I'm happy with all the placement. And I'm going to start to stick things down. So I'm going to stick my photo to, that's a pocket from the Pink Fresh Studio collection, just one of the little envelope pockets, and you saw earlier I cut the top off because it was a little bit big. So that makes a nice background, and I distressed the edges for a bit of extra texture. So now I'm going to stick down the die cuts, just there along the change of colour between yellow and blue. That's Scotch tacky glue in a fine liner bottle, in case anyone wonders. It works really well. It sticks and dries pretty quickly, so I like using that. So here we go, some foam for the back of my photo. I'm just sort of figuring out exactly where I'm going to put that. And then I'm going to stick it all down. Wonderful. This is quite a simple layout. I don't put many embellishments on it because the background is really bright and colourful. There's a lot going on, so I don't want to distract from that. So I make it quite simple. Whenever I make a big fancy, fancy? I don't know about fancy. Whenever I make a big mixed media background, I often tend to not put as many embellishments on there because I just want the background to speak for itself. So here we go. So I've just got some puffy stickers from the Let's Stay Home collection. The top one I think says Be Positive, and then there's some hearts in the orange and yellows. And I also, these cardstock stickers, I cut in half a circle for the top, and I put that tag at the bottom that says something about staying home. Home is the best place, or something like that. There we go, just moving that around a little bit. I think about some other embellishments, but don't use any others. My next step is going to be to pull out the stamp set again. So I pull out the ampersand again, and I'm going to do some dark stamping. So this is stone grey stays on, not quite black, but close. And I'm just going to, in a few places, stamp a dark ampersand as well, just to stand out on the background. And I like the effect that gives. I just stamped over some existing ones that were there. And I think that is it. Yes, there's the final layout. I hope it gives you some inspiration for using the new stamp set and the dies. We'd love to see what you're doing. Come join us in Bramble Fox Friends and show us what you've been making. This has been Vicky for Bramble Fox. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.